Okay, so welcome everybody. It is really a pleasure to come back to Vilnius to do another conference talk. And today what I want to talk about is I've been running this website called Breach Directory. And what it essentially is, as the name suggests, is a data breach directory. And what we do is we archive breach data. When we started out, we had about 1,000 records. In a month, we accumulated 1 million, and I thought it was a lot. Then we accumulated 10 million, then 100 million, then 200 million, and I thought we would stop there. Then we accumulated 1 billion, and I thought it was really scary. Because you see, there are 7 billion people in this world, and 5 billion people out of 7 billion people being at risk of having their identities compromised at any given second is not a funny topic at all. When this talk was being prepared, we had about 4 billion records in breach directory, hence why this talk is lessons from 4 billion breached records. But as time went forward, as time flew by, the breached records started growing, and now we're looking at 5,174,607,864 records across 200 breached websites. When data breaches are being talked about, they're being talked about because they bring damage of some kind. We all see this all over the news. We all saw that company A was breached, they lost X amount of revenue. They lost customer trust. And when data breaches are being talked about in the news, they're being talked about mainly because they bring financial damage, right? Because they bring financial damage, and damage can be of a few types. It can be physical damage, that is, people can get hurt physically, they can die. Literally, that happens. There can be financial damage. Companies can suffer from financial damage. But there's this another side to data breaches, which kind of nobody talks about, and really surprises me, is that data breaches can have massive impact on the human brain. That is psychological damage. Data breaches can do massive psychological damage. And what I want to start with is that we had this service, we still have it actually, in Lithuania called Grožio Klinika, or the beauty clinic in English. The beauty clinic was essentially a clinic that provided plastical surgery services, that provided beauty services, right? They provided plastical surgery services to both women and men alike. When they provided plastical surgery services, they stored data in regards to their customers. They stored data like photos before the plastical surgery took place, photos after the plastical surgery took place, and some other miscellaneous data. But it just so happened that they suffered a massive data breach, and their data got leaked. And how they came to know about it was not because their security team went like, oh, we suffered a data breach, we need to look into it. Actually, no. They came to know about it via different means. What I mean by that is their customers started receiving calls, started receiving SMS messages, by someone who started saying, hey, either you pay us X $1,000, either we leak your private photos and other data on the web. And people, what do you reckon they started doing? They started paying. They started paying cybercriminals. Cybercriminals, of course, they were happy because they were making literally thousands of dollars out of this. And when they suffered a data breach, when people started paying, shortly after, news headlines started popping up. They said things like, ooh, clients' insecure data exposed. They started interviewing cybersecurity companies, cybersecurity experts, who said, wait, do not pay. Because there is no guarantee your data will actually get removed out of cybercriminal systems, right? The stolen data can not get removed. Cybercriminals, they can take your money and cut contact and go away and not remove your data. And your data will remain leaked on the web. And after that, people, they still paid money, cybercriminals. And after people still paid money, some people, they started laughing them off by saying, cybersecurity experts advised you to not pay. Why are you still paying? They started laughing. And there's this problem where if you have a call at 3 or 4 a.m. in the morning by someone who's saying, well, transfer me X $1,000 or I'll leak your photos on the web, you're not gonna go and be like, please don't leak my photos. Please don't do any harm. You're gonna respond like, oof, what happened? What can I do to ensure this doesn't happen again? Where do I send the money? You respond like this, like I just did, even though you're probably respond more stressed than I just did, because you are suffering from massive psychological damage. And when you're suffering from psychological damage, the advice that cybersecurity experts gave you is the last thing on your mind, because what you think about is how to get out of the situation. And cybercriminals, they want you to respond like this. They want you to respond like this because they know if you respond like this, you will pay them money. You will make them rich, right? And after that, after some time passed, after this data breach, news headlines started popping up another way. They now said, the beauty clinic data breach. Who is at fault? The company or the users? And obviously the innuendo here was that either the company, either the users will be at fault. Because or is used, right? But when it comes to data breaches, you see, no one side is at fault. Usually both parties have some blame to share. Of course, as people have said, as people have commented on the news thread, users should feel guilty because they use passwords like 123456, like password 123, like password, which all leads to them getting their identity stolen. But companies, especially companies like this, have some blame to share as well. Cybersecurity experts, when looking at the slide, will instantly know what's wrong. And if you do not know what's wrong, I will explain. You see, this user registered the service. When he registered to this service, he has provided his email address and his password. And this email address and this password has been sent to him over email, meaning that his email address and his password is not protected, meaning that anyone can steal his identity by just having a glance at this and at what's written at the screen. Imagine this. You have a laptop, you go to a cafe, you end up registering for this service, you open this email, you leave this open, and you want to go to the toilet. Of course you go to the toilet without locking your computer, because who locks your computer these days, right? And when you go to the toilet, a cybercriminal, or really anyone, walks up, takes a photo of this, and walks away. It literally takes, less than 3 seconds? And then you come back, you go home, you try logging into the service, and what you see is your password has been changed. Your password has been changed, and your details are at risk. Potentially, your life is at risk. If this was a bank, your money is at risk. And at that very moment, the only thing that is standing between you and your identity getting stolen are security questions. Security questions are such questions that are designed in a way to help prevent cybercriminals to getting access to your data. When security questions are in place, a person needs to answer an additional question that only he should know the answer to. But you see, security questions are not as secure, ironically. They're not as secure because, again, we have companies like this. This company asked user to set a security question. A common security question is, what is your mother's maiden name? Which is in this case as well. The user answered that his mother's maiden name is Plop. And this website goes like, your security answer does not contain 5 or more characters. It cannot be your mother's maiden name. Except it can be your mother's maiden name. And this is the case with email registration services as well. Imagine you are a chief executive officer of some company, and you have an email address like me@mycompany.com. You go ahead, register for this service, you provide your email address, you provide your password, and click register, right? Except the service says, well, your email does not end in gmail.com. It cannot be your email address. Except it can be your email address. Coming back to security questions are only can be called secure when not truth is provided, when they are being answered randomly, when you do not put truth in the security answer. For example, if you choose what is your mother's maiden name in this case, and you answer with your mother's maiden name, it can put you at even further risk. Because, well, we all have Facebook, we all have Instagram, we all have Twitter. And, well, the cyber criminal can just look up you on Facebook and find your mother's maiden name. Answer like this, and you still get your identity stolen. Answer like this, however, and your identity is probably safe, because your mother's maiden name, well, it shouldn't look like this, right? So, this is generated by a password manager called OnePassword. What OnePassword does is generates random secure passwords like this. You can choose the length of this password. The maximum length you can choose, if I remember correctly, is 64 characters. I chose 30 in this case. What it allows you to do is generate random passwords, lock them up behind one password that only you should know, and not reuse passwords across different services. Because what happens when you reuse passwords across different services is you get your identity stolen. And you get your identity stolen because when data breaches happen, they're not happening because for the sake of happening, right? They happen because someone has to make profit out of it. And what I mean by that is the majority of time when websites get breached, their data gets sold. For example, we had this service called 000 Webhouse in Lithuania, in Kaunas. They're headquartered in Kaunas, right? In March of 2015, in the beginning of 2015, they have suffered a massive data breach which have left their 13 million users exposed. The data which was exposed contained email addresses and passwords. And because it contained such data, it contained plain text passwords as well. Because it contained such data, it was of value to an attacker. The data started getting sold. First it was sold at $2,000. Then, when the data breach got cover in the price fell to $200. Then, when data breach got even more coverage, price fell to $150. And prices are falling because when a company knows they're breached, they reset their customers' passwords. And when they reset their customers' passwords, the data is no longer valuable to an attacker. And so it has no value. So people stop purchasing it. In order to make people still purchase it, cyber criminals, they lower price. As I said, it fell from $2,000 to $200. In what, in 3 seconds? After the data breach got cover. And then it fell in price again to $150. Then it fell in price again to $100. And after some time, it wasn't sold at all. Because passwords were reset. Because cyber criminals they would have not got any value whatsoever. Would have not got any value whatsoever. But some cyber criminals are kind of smarter than others. Some cyber criminals, they run websites. They run websites. They run data breach search engines. For example, this was taken from a search engine called Leaked Source. Leaked Source was launched in about March of 2016. And the service was shut down in January 2017. What Leaked Source did is it accumulated data, accumulated email addresses, IP addresses, passwords, and let anyone search through the data, notified them if their email address was exposed. But here's the catch. Along with notifying them, they also allowed anyone to search for the data and get any data that is in any database. For example, if I search for me at mydomain.com, I would have my IP address potentially, my username, my password, my address, potentially my credit card details. And so it was a goldmine for cybercriminals. Leaked Source, through the period of half a year, made about $250,000 by selling data which costs, what, 76 cents a day, if I'm not mistaken. Of course, they got massive coverage by cybersecurity experts, which kind of liked the service at first, but when they realized they were not doing legal stuff, they started disliking it. And the problem is, law enforcement started disliking them as well. And in January of 2017, Leaked Source went poof, gone. There's no Twitter account, there's no website available anymore, their customers are confused. What do you think happened? Anyone? They ended up getting Federal Bureau of Investigation at their door. They ended up getting raided, their servers got seized, their servers got placed under federal investigation, and the owner got a call to court. Got a subpoena. Now I do not know exactly how it ended for the owner, but the fact is, if you run a website like this, and you continue running websites like this, well, expect them to knock at your door. At any time, really. Because if you are profiting from cybercrime, this is inevitable. And this is inevitable because passwords, people, they tend to reuse passwords. They tend to choose weak passwords. This service knew it as well. This service was advertised on hacking forums, meaning that they attracted precisely these sorts of customers you would expect. They attracted hackers. And hackers, they like to cause harm. And obviously they got revenue, as I said, they got $250,000, $1 million. And they got pretty much all they wanted. But they did not take this into account. And when data breaches happen, they are not only happening because some sort of professional made some wrong code. No, this is also happening because of social engineering. What social engineering essentially is you trick people into disclosing stuff they don't want to disclose, right? For example, there's this show with Jimmy Kimmel where a girl goes to the streets and asks people for their password. Literally. And people, they go like, my password is my birth date. Oh, when you were born. Oh, I was born at yada yada yada, right? And then it is no problem figuring out what this person's password is, right? They go like, my password is the year I graduated from college, plus my dog's name. Oh, what is your dog's name? My dog's name is yada yada yada. And when did you graduate from college? I graduated from college in 2013. Right? This leads to getting your identity stolen. And in order to not get your identity stolen, we need to educate people. The education is one of the solutions. But you see, when data breaches are concerned, there are a lot of cybersecurity companies, there are a lot of cybersecurity experts who are providing different solutions. And they are providing different solutions because when data breaches are concerned, there is no one solution that fits everyone. You ask one cybersecurity expert, you get one thought. You ask a second cybersecurity expert, you get a second thought. And all solutions have their problems as well. The solution I chose is simply education. We need to educate people. We need people to know what bug bounties are, for example. Bug bounties are kind of an amazing thing because a hacker still gets to hack and get money, and the company gets to fix the flaws. Presumably they have them, right? How bug bounties work is that when you find a flaw in a software and you report it and you disclose it responsibly, right? The company, in most of the cases, gives you money. In most of the cases gives you money, and then both parties are happy. Hacker is happy because he has to hack, right? And the company is happy because they fix flaws in their software. And flaws, they exist because, well, developers are kind of bad at writing good code. Not everyone, of course, but from what I see, we have a lot of bad developers, right? And if you write bad code, well, consider, for example, getting a web application firewall, getting defense in depth, for example. Breach directory, for example, both my blog and breach directory run defense in depth. What I mean by that is that we have more than one security layer protecting a website, right? And when you have more than one security layer protecting a website, it is called the Gestel approach, or defense in depth, right? We have a firewall, and we have another solution, right? And web application firewalls, what they do is that even if you have a flaw in your code and you don't know it, they prevent it from the code from being exploited, and your company from losing data, and your customers from getting their identity stolen, right? What they essentially do is if an attack is detected on your website, they simply block the attack. But the problem with firewalls is that majority of them are very expensive. Majority of them are very expensive, they cost money. And when I originally wanted a firewall in 2014, they were very expensive as well. So what I decided to do is, well, make my own. Breach directory is adorned by the same web application firewall as I have made in 2014. The firewall blocks a variety of attack types and it works pretty well. The idea is extremely simple. You have a blacklist of rules, and if any of those rules are triggered, the request gets blocked and the message gets thrown across the screen, right? But you see, the problem with education is we cannot educate 100% of the people. That is, we cannot educate completely everyone in the world. And every solution, as I said, has its own problems. The major problem in this solution is that we would still have people like this. This person replied, well, I buy a product and my PC still has a virus to a company that makes coffee. McAfee makes coffee. McAfee, on the other hand, makes antivirus software. And this person has probably mistaken McAfee for McAfee. Which again, ordinary people often mistake stuff. And their mistakes can cost them money. Because if a cyber criminal knows that you are mistaking companies, they can set up phishing pages, right? They can steal your data this way. How your data can get stolen another way is that cyber criminals, they will think of ways for you to lose your money, right? And as I said, data breaches are being talked about because they bring damage, financial damage in some cases, in the majority of cases. This is a cost of a data breach in the US. $4 million lost because some guy made some clicks. Because some guy, he mashed the keyboard. right? And made your company lose money. And made your company lose trust. And potentially made your company close down. Because data breaches, they cost a lot of money. And depending on how large of your company is, they can cost you potentially huge amounts of your revenue. And you can end up closing down. But fortunately, we have, as I said, we have cybersecurity experts. We have cybersecurity companies who provide security advice for people not how to get breached, right? To not get breached, right? To kind of protect themselves from getting their identity stolen. We have banks that do this as well, especially in Christmas season. Christmas season is kind of dangerous because cyber criminals, they're active at all times of year. Especially that one because, well, they know that people are not paying much attention and they can try phishing them. Phishing is essentially you are provided a fake page, you provide your data and you get your identity stolen. That's essentially what it is. I'm going to show you two videos which are provided by a bank in the United Kingdom, by Barclays. Barclays, what they did in December of 2017 was they decided to educate their customers on not how to get their identity stolen, on what they should do on the web. The first video is this. Have a look.
Supercon! Order now and get absolutely nothing!
Look, don't pay for me over public Wi-Fi. Fraudsters could intercept and get their grubby hands on your bank details. Right, you. Oh dear.
Defeat online fraudsters this Christmas!
What you are saying is that you should not pay for stuff over public Wi-Fi, because you will end up getting your identity, getting your data stolen. This message is very, very good, but the problem with security experts providing advice, everyone makes mistakes. Security experts, how sad it might be, they also make mistakes. For example, this ad advertises the exact same toy, the kind of exact same way, but the message that they provide is wrong and kind of different. Why is it wrong, and why is that the customers who are reading this ad can still get their identity stolen even though they are advised not to? You answer this question. Click.
Supercon! Defender of the Galaxy, complete with powerful disc cannon and realistic sounding jetpack!
Defender of the... Oh, you know what? I can't do this. It's all rubbish. It's a scam. If you order me, you'll get nothing. Look, in there, you need a padlock when you pay for stuff. If there isn't one, the website could be fake. Oh, look at that.
Defeat online fraudsters this Christmas!
Why is this advertisement wrong? And why does this advertisement have kind of a wrong message? Anyone? Okay, answer. Exactly. Cybercriminals, they know how easy it is to get a certificate on the website. And this security advice would have been good in like 2015, 2016, right? But not in 2017, because as internet moves forward, as everything moves forward quickly, the cyber criminals, they are not sleeping as well. They know that people will look for padlocks when entering data. So they, on their phishing pages, they have HTTPS. And what will your customer do? Well, they will visit a phishing page. They will see it has HTTPS, and consequently it has a padlock, right? As this advertisement says. And they will provide the data because, well, this page has HTTPS, so it must be secure, as the bank said. But they will end up getting their identity stolen. Identities are stolen not only because of data breaches. Identities are stolen because we put internet in things that we should not put internet in. For example, we have these toilets with Wi-Fi in them. We have stuff like with internet which should not be there. And let me also say a story. In Twitch, we had this streamer, game streamer. Twitch is a game streaming platform which allows you to stream games for everyone to see. And he had two cameras. One camera which had captured his gameplay and his performance in a game, and one camera which had captured his room, his table, etc. In the second camera, in the camera which he had captured his room in, was an Alexa device was visible. What an Alexa device is, it is essentially a device which completes voice commands. And when those voice commands are said, Alexa has no other choice but to complete them. And the point I want to make with Twitch is that when donations are made through Twitch, the person gets their money, right? And the donation message, if such is said, if such is provided, is read out loud to the gamer, right? People started donating money. They started donating money by saying, "Oof, there's a good gameplay you have there. Please continue." Blah blah blah. But some people, as I said, they saw this device, Alexa device, on the table, and they made donations like, "Alexa, what is my current location?" And the message, of course, it got read out loud, as every message does. And Alexa responded with, "Well, your current location is yada yada yada," right? And this is bad, because if cyber criminals have your location, they can do a number of different stuff, right? They can even call police to your house. Some people do that. Some people do that. And what we need is collaboration, because in the future we will see stuff like this. We will see stuff like this because people, we cannot, cybersecurity experts, we cannot stem the flow of data breaches alone, right? We need collaboration. We need collaboration of web developers, cybersecurity experts, right? Law enforcement. Until then, we will continue seeing the flow of data breaches, and we will rise in numbers. We will see 6 billion records soon, because cyber criminals, they're always ready to steal your money, always ready to shut your company down by breaching it, right? Always ready to sell your data, always ready to make a profit out of it. The question is, are you ready? So thank you. If anyone has any sorts of questions, suggestions, I can be reached via email, via Twitter. You can also ask me on Facebook, or you can also ask me now. I don't bite. So thank you.